The picture that circulated of Dorothy Bruns after her speeding white Volvo passed through a red light, leaving 2 children dead in a busy intersection in Brooklyn on Monday, is what initially sparked the rage. Shown on a gurney, sitting upright, an open purse on her lap, her long hair tucked into her black parka, she is texting without any suggestion of misery or even agitation, as if she were simply letting a friend know that she was going to be late for tennis. Her Facebook page quickly swelled with comments from observers who articulated the view that she was a murderer, that she ought to expire in hell and prison, that bad things should happen to her own children. In a city where young black men have routinely landed on Rikers Island for stealing diapers or drinking beer on a sidewalk or jumping a turnstile, it seemed an enraging mystery that Ms. Bruns, a white woman in her 40s from Staten Island, had still not been charged with anything by midweek, despite the fact that she had killed a 4-year-old and a baby and injured the pregnant mother of the older child, an actress named Ruthie Ann Miles. On Wednesday, Mayor Bill de Blasio, who for many years had lived just a few blocks away from the site of the crash, expressed his own dismay. "I wish she was under arrest right now," he said, a statement that ignores how loose the strictures governing the behavior of drivers actually are. It was only because of a coordinated effort involving the Department of Motor Vehicles, the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office, the Police Department and Brad Lander, the city councilman representing Park Slope, where the accident occurred, that Ms. Bruns ultimately had her license suspended. In the ordinary course of business, in cases like this, the driver is typically able to walk away from the scene of the crash with little or no consequence. In the vast majority of incidents, Mr. Lander told me, drivers do not get their licenses revoked until they are charged. To get Ms. Bruns's license taken away temporarily required petitioning a judge, even though city records indicated that during the past 2 years, the car she was driving had been caught on camera violating speed regulations around schools 4 times and running red lights on several other occasions. It is possible, of course, that Ms. Bruns was not driving the car in the moments of those infractions, but it is also possible that she should not have been driving at all. The police believe she may have had a seizure while driving. She was taken to the hospital after the crash where she remained. The tragedy points to the limits of Vision Zero, a plan to reduce pedestrian fatalities and one of the mayor's signature initiatives. It has been largely successful. Pedestrian deaths dropped by 32% last year, making 2017 one of the safest on record. Speed cameras that have been shown to reduce crashes involving fatal and serious injuries are in place in some parts of the city. But automation in this sense has a real cost. It removes the presence of a police officer who could pull a speeding driver over and see if something might be off. Beyond that, Vision Zero cannot get around the broader spirit of the law, which treats cars much in the way it treats guns, sanctioning the right to operate them as nearly sacrosanct. For 5 years now, this truth has been evident to Thomas Wallach, an investment manager who lives in Brooklyn Heights. On a February afternoon in 2013, Mr. Wallach was on the phone with his wife, Martha Atwater, as she was leaving a bakery in the neighborhood when the line went silent. A few seconds later he received a call from a UPS driver who had witnessed her get hit by a car. Mr. Wallach went to the hospital where she had been taken to find that she was dead. He went home to tell his children and then walked over to the scene of the crash to see what he could learn. I said, "Where's the guy?" Mr. Wallach recounted recently. He was told that the driver had been released, that the state trooper in charge had done an on-site evaluation and determined that the driver could go. No drug or alcohol test was immediately performed, Mr. Wallach said. He was never charged, he got his car back, he didn't even get a ticket he had, the police said, a blackout related to diabetes. Through an investigation conducted by the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office, Mr. Wallach told me, and through his own research, he learned that the driver had been arrested twice for heroin possession during the 18 months preceding the crash. On one of those two occasions he was arrested in his car and sentenced to rehabilitation and clinical work. He was still permitted to keep his car, the car he was driving when Martha Atwater was killed. Mr. Wallach also discovered that the driver had his license suspended in the past. Mr. Wallach lays blame for his wife's death not on this man ultimately, but on a system that shifts too much of the burden of maintaining public safety onto individuals, on whom we depend to exercise a proper moral authority. Too often, they don't. There were so many opportunities, Mr. Wallach said, to stop what happened, along the way.